The British royal family is one of the most recognised monarchies in the world, alongside the Swedish, Grimaldi and Japanese royal families. But with fame comes misinformation, and trust me, there's a lot of it. Despite being at the heart of British identity, tradition and diplomacy, the royal family is consistently misrepresented, often by people who either don't understand how it all works, or simply don't want to. So today we're diving into 10 of the most common misconceptions still believed about the British monarchy, from taxpayer myths to land ownership, and even to the role of the royals themselves. It's time to set the record straight. So first up, we got the first misconception. We pay the royals with our own tax money. Well, that's completely false. Let's be clear, the monarchy does not live off your income tax alone. In fact, only 0.05% of the UK taxes goes towards the monarchy. That's around less than about £1 per taxpayer per year. The majority of the money that the royal family receive is from the Crown estate, which is not owned by the royals, but by the Crown, as an institution of the state. And yes, the Crown estate is not owned by the monarchy, but they do actually help it generate money. For instance, the king himself actually helped generate money for the Crown estate, which has actually gone up in profits because the king has helped install some profitable wind farms. This has significantly helped the Crown estate get more money. Without the king's conservation work and helping to influence installation of these wind farms, the Crown estate would actually not be getting as much money as it generates today, according to reports. So, carrying on with what the Crown estate actually is. The Crown estate generates over £3 billion in property and business, and 75% of that profit at the moment goes straight to the Treasury, or the public purse. Now, this basically helps fund public services and stuff like that. The royals themselves only receive a sovereign grant of 25%, and this is set to go down to 12% in the next couple of years, to cover official duties, not private life. Now, while the royal family receives a sovereign grant to cover their official duties, it's crucial to understand how this actually works, especially with so much misinformation flying around. Yes, it involves public money, but no, it's not coming from your income tax, council tax, or money out of your pocket. The funding comes from the Crown estate, a multi-billion-pound property portfolio owned by the Crown, the state, not the royal family personally. Each year, the Crown estate hands over 100% of its profits to the Treasury. And then the royal family receives a 25% at the moment. It will go down to 12% back through the sovereign grant. That's not your money directly. That's revenue from the Crown land managed independently and influenced in part by the monarchy. So to be crystal clear, the royals don't take your taxes. They take a portion of what the Crown estate earns, which is the money the monarchy helps generate through their ongoing association with the estate. It's a cut of money that would not exist in the same way without the Crown, and not a cut of your payslip. There's a big difference people either ignore or don't understand. Now let's bust the next myth. Some think that if we abolish the monarchy, their funding could go to the NHS or schools. That's just not how it works. The sovereign grant is just 0.05% approximately of total UK spending. Even if you gave 100% of that to the NHS, it would fund just a few hours of daily NHS operations. That's it. Also, the money wouldn't even be redirected to healthcare or education at all. It would go into maintaining the royal palaces, which are still owned by the state and would require just as much, if not more, money to operate without the royals living in them and working in them. You may be asking why, but that's because the royals help upkeep them. If no one's living in them, then some of their stuff starts to rot. And then that means that the government then have to pay even more to then replace them. So yes, let's not forget that the royal family actually uses and maintains these estates as active workplaces. They're not just castles to look pretty. They're used for state meetings, hosting foreign leaders, charity events, and national celebrations. Without the monarchy, these buildings would become expensive museums still needing millions in taxpayer funding, but without any return in tourism, diplomacy, or charitable value. Because most of the time, people want to visit the monarchy's houses because the monarchy still works in them. They're living history, essentially. This means they're completely different to, say, the living museums or the national museums or stuff like that, which basically gives them their unique appeal to people from other countries. In short, the royals don't cost what you think. They don't take from your pocket, and they actually give back more than they take. I mean, alone, the royal family brought in around 400 million per year, and that's just from one avenue of their, things that they brought in money from. To add on to this, people also ask why the monarchy gets more per person than, say, the NHS or education. Well, it's simple. It's the scale. The monarchy is a small institution with only a few dozen working royals and a few hundred supporting staff. In contrast, the NHS employs over 1.4 million people, UK education has over 800,000 staff, and public services altogether employ millions. I know you can't really compare the institutions, but if we are going to, these are massive institutions with huge responsibilities. So their funding, of course, is spread across far more people and departments. So at the end of the day, the royals are still part of the same system, public servants, just with a different role, one of national identity, unity and tradition. Another popular myth is the Duchy of Cornwall and the Duchy of Lancaster are just free money. Well, completely false. So yes, that's another popular myth. The duchies are private estates that fund the working lives of the monarch, the Duchy of Lancaster, and the heir to the throne, the Duchy of Cornwall, which is now the Prince of Wales or Prince William. Now, some people say that this land should be free because the royals are already rich, but under the Duchess of Lancaster and Cornwall Accounts Act 1838, these estates are legally required to generate income, even if that means leasing land to NHS trusts, schools, or even charities. However, these estates are also not managed directly by the royals, but by professional staff and estate managers. The income is taxed voluntarily at 45%, and what's left helps fund royal engagement, which again saves the taxpayer millions. And yes, of course, like any other landowner, they keep some money themselves. But so do landlords in the government, councils, and also independent landlords as well. Meanwhile, government departments and local councils charge charities in the NHS significantly higher fees than the duchies both together, often millions more with far less transparency. Up at number 4, we have the royal family does nothing. Well, people when they say that are not even close. In my opinion, this is just lazy criticism. The royal family attends thousands of public engagements every year, supports over 3,000 charities and brings in hundreds of millions in tourism revenue annually. And even if that's not at the top of the tourism, sort of leaderboard that people like to show us, they still generate a lot of revenue. And that's in tourism alone. Think of all the other things that they impact and give money to, including the fashion industry. I mean, in the UK alone, everything that, say, Princess Charlotte, Prince George, the Prince and Princess of Wales, and Prince Louis, where usually is sold out, and it has a massive impact on the fashion industry. Which, may I add, for the UK alone, is a £1 billion industry. Also, lots of haters need to ask themselves this. If the monarchy does nothing, why do millions of people line the streets for royal weddings, troop in the colour, or even just to see the king visit a local hospital? To add on to this, I hate the recent criticism where the Prince and Princess of Wales have been called lazy or work shy or anything like that. I also hate that misconception as well. I think people seem to forget that the people at the top of the leaderboard are the most engagements, even though it's not even a competition, are royals whose children are grown up, or children that are full-time boarders, or children that are in full-time university. The Prince and Princess of Wales, meanwhile, have a young family, with their eldest child being 12 and their youngest child being 7, and their children are still full-time prep students. This means that they come home each evening, meaning they need their parents on hand to make them meals and take them to clubs and stuff like that. They are raising a young family alongside their busy royal schedules, and that is why that they have to do less engagements. Not because they're lazy, but because they have to work their busy and tight royal schedules alongside their children's hobbies, clubs, and taking them to and from school. Something that the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh, Princess Anne, King, and Queen Camilla don't actually have to do because their children are all adults or in university. Up at number 5, we have Trooping the Colour is expensive dress up. Well, that's far from the truth. Well, Trooping the Colour isn't a royal vanity project, it's a military parade dating back to the 17th century. And here's the key fact, it's paid for by the UK Armed Forces, not the royal family and not you. It would still happen in some form even if the UK was a republic, as it's a military tradition, not a royal indulgence. The royal family only usually gets involved because they're head of the armed forces and because the military parade also marks the king's official public birthday. Up at number 6, we have we should vote for the monarchy. Well, but anyone that says that is actually misunderstanding the system completely. The UK is a constitutional monarchy. The monarch is the head of state, but not the head of the government or the head of any rules in the UK. We vote for MPs, for councils, for the Prime Minister, and the monarchy represents stability and continuancy, not political power. It's not a popularity contest, it's a symbol of nationhood, just like flags or anthems in republics. Right up at number 7, we have this misconception that the anti-monarchists like to spread around because they're, again, uneducated. The UK would be better off without the monarchy, and it's completely baseless. Let's break it down. So without the monarchy, nothing structurally would change, except we'd lose a major symbol of unity and tradition. But here's the kicker. Royal patronage generates an estimated £1.4 billion a year for UK charities and smaller charities, who depend on royal connections to raise funds and to also spread their message. Upwards of 80% of their exposure comes from royal links. Remove the royals and thousands of organisations would suffer completely. And what would we gain? An elected president, more politics, higher costs. Be careful what you campaign for. These people that are campaigning against the monarchy are usually people that don't understand that everything would be 10 times more expensive if we didn't have a monarchy. They're the same people that say that we waste money, but actually the people that they want in power are the very ones that are wasting the money. Basically the government. So basically, these anti-monarchists, here's how they think. They want to get rid of a cheap monarchy, bring in a really expensive president, and then say that's saving money. Make it make sense, mate. Of course, not everyone is obliged to like the monarchy, but if you don't like the monarchy, you don't have to like it. Just don't go to events and ruin it for other people. Some people don't like football or tennis, so don't go to tennis and football matches and start waving flags around. If they don't like it, they just ignore it. So if you're a hater of the monarchy, just don't follow them. Just don't follow them. It's that simple. Don't go around abusing them for their amazing charity work they do. Both for the UK and the Commonwealth. And for other countries as well. Up next, we have the royal family is just for the old generation. Actually, that is fake. Gen Z and millennials actually love them too as well. And of course, the Gen Z bit is a bit low, but that's because many of the Gen Z at the moment are actually quite young, and they're probably yet to learn about the monarchy as well. Which is why I like getting young people involved, because they have to see the amazing work the monarchy actually does for our communities. You know, people need to see, especially young people, that there are people out there making a difference in our community, and it's not just politics, which are really controversial. Polls consistently show that millions of young people, millennials, and people above that age as well, still support the monarchy. Events like the Platinum Jubilee, royal weddings, and the coronation drew huge viewership and turnout from young generations, according to reports. According to reports as well, social media content from royal events performs incredibly well, with the younger generation getting involved on social media, according to reports, proving that interest is actually going up among the younger generation, according to reports. Now up at number 9, we have the royals are above the law. Well, actually not quite. The monarch cannot be prosecuted in their personal capacity, but this is due to constitutional technicalities, not because they're above the law. Everyone else in the royal family can be investigated and prosecuted, and have been in the past. There are also strict internal rules they must follow with intense media scrutiny if they slip up. So up at number 10, our last one, they inherited all their wealth. This is only partly true. Yes, the royal family comes from wealth, but much of their income is now generated from assets, estates, and business interests they manage professionally, like the Crown Estate or Duchies. Queen Camilla and King Charles have reportedly paid voluntary income tax since 1993, and Prince William is expected to continue that. I'm going to also add a little bonus one in as well. Royal events cost the country millions for nothing. Well, again, that's false. Royal events like weddings, coronations, and more bring in more money than they cost. For example, the Prince and Princess of Wales's 2011 wedding cost around £20 million, but generated over £2 billion in economic activity and tourism. The monarchy returns far more than they take, and that's basically just proof of it. So yes, that wraps up 10 of the biggest myths still believed about the British royal family. And we also put an extra one in there as well, so hopefully that was okay. And hopefully it's helped clear the air a bit. There's a lot of misinformation out there, often spread by people who haven't done the research, don't understand how the system works, or simply don't want to. So if you're someone who wants to hear honest, fact-based royal reporting without the media spin, then make sure to subscribe for more royal content, straight-talking breakdowns, and no-nonsense explanations. Let's keep telling the truth, because people deserve to hear it. We hope you have a wonderful rest of your day wherever you are, and we hope to see you in the next report. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye!